Hey guys, it's your boy MKSA back in another video. Trying to get my chewing gum out. I had to have so many at the same time, but anyway, sorry. I'm just going to check what's up over there. I'm live on Facebook. Yeah, I'm live on Facebook as well. Hey guys, it's your boy MKSA back with another video, and welcome to the second part of my Christmas shopping list, plans, dreams, and whatnot for Town Football and Celtic. And here goes. These are pointers number 11 to 20. I was just trying to remember something I was thinking of earlier. Yeah, hopefully it'll all go well. Hopefully you enjoy it, and please let me know what you think. Hopefully it won't be too harsh. And here goes. So I say these are pointers number 11 to 20. And I'm really getting annoyed because I'm with myself because I've forgotten something I was going to say. And I thought, yeah, I remember now. Thanks. Thankfully, sorry. But here goes. So number 11, I was thinking about I thought Hearts and the Rankers, as I call them, were playing today, but it's actually tomorrow, just before our game against Aberdeen. And our game's at 3 o'clock, as in Celtics. But Aberdeen, Aberdeen's would obviously be at the same time. But I think the Rankers and Hearts are playing at 1:30 or something like that. It's a dilemma for us because I'm sure for most Celtic supporters, as someone mentioned it, I think it's Alan Brazil, a Celtic supporter who used to play football for Celtic and Everton, I think, and he said that, excuse me, he mentioned a point that I'm sure most Celtic supporters will think of, which is that it's hard to say because who you'd want to win. Probably a draw would probably be the best result because it means both teams drop 2 points in a way, kind of, which might give Celtic more of an opportunity to catch up. I got to admit, I kind of, even though it's difficult, I'd rather Hearts win than the Rankers because hopefully Hearts will slip away eventually. And if we got our act right, I think we could have caught up with them. And something I want to say something on that in a bit, but. In a minute or so, but if I'd rather them win the league than the Rankers, because at least it'll be not the Rankers winning, so anyone but the Rankers winning. I don't know why I call them the Rankers. It's just a silly nickname I have for them. Some people call them the Huns or whatever, that kind of thing. But I'd probably rather Hearts win, but it is a difficult one. Now, I forgot saying point number 7. And I was thinking of this in point number 2, but I was going to wait till point number 7 to say it. A part of me would love to see, and I don't want to be too harsh or too horrible, and I know they are human beings at the end of the day, I believe. But on a serious note, I know they're playing for their club and they're playing it, it's a career. But part of me wants to see lots of injuries for Hearts and the Rankers. Now, I don't mean injuries like career-threatening by any chance, by any means, and I certainly don't want any life-threatening injuries or any injuries that are like life-changing in a horrible way. Maybe just like, I mean, apparently a broken ankle is very painful, but I don't know, maybe that's a bit harsh, like a broken ankle or a broken leg from some of the, and I hope it's not like karma the other way around, but I don't know, that is a bit harsh, but maybe an injury to as many Hearts and Rankers players to just derail their season enough to help Celtic to get better and catch up. Although I was going to say about the manager, and what I want to say more generally as well with Town Football and Celtic is, I think I forgot to say in point number 2, I normally say what they could learn from other leagues, and I've mentioned that in the past, like what could they learn from, especially Real Madrid, that's like the benchmark. What could Town Football learn from La Liga and from the French national team, as well as Brazil, Argentina, Germany, and whoever else, and even lower league teams or lower ranked teams or lower quality teams, like at the moment, unfortunately, Italy's really struggling at club and probably even worse so at country level. So it's almost like we could, some of those teams which are supposed to be lower than us are unfortunately beating us, or probably doing better than us. So it's been a while since Italy's done well in many ways, certainly in the World Cup anyway. I know we won the Euros in 2021. It was a year late because of COVID. But what could Italian football and Celtic change? And I think that comes from learning, I have to mention, learning from other club teams, other national teams, and other teams in other sports as well, not just football, and also soccer or whatever you want to call it, and also from the world, the universe itself, business, life itself, and that kind of thing. And the manager, I hope the manager is not too arrogant to sort of be more flexible and change. I think, and I know I can be stubborn myself, as I mentioned before, but sometimes the goalkeeper should go short or people should go short. But when we're not playing well and we're not confident, I think sometimes we should go long. And the opposition, if they know we're always going to go short, they can close us down and press us and see any mistakes and capitalise on them. We're probably lucky not to concede even more sometimes. But I mean, there's one in the cup final where Kasper Schmeichel, the keeper, obviously threw the ball away and it went straight to one of their players, and he was lucky to get a free kick, which probably wasn't even a free kick. So we could have conceded a goal there. And yeah, I think if you're the opposition, you can always think, why don't we take a punt on they're going to go to the right back or the left back, or they're going to go to the centre back, one of the centre backs. So just all you got to do is close them down and hope they make one mistake. And from their point of view, they hope we will make a mistake, and then they can capitalise in it. So I think we should be looking at ways to, again, sometimes just hump the ball at the field if necessary, and sometimes go short and sometimes go long. When we're playing well, we can go short and try and keep the ball, and when we're playing not so well, we could go long, or just to mix it up so the opposition doesn't know. And also, I one thing Bro Wilfred, our manager, in terms of Celtic, could do, and I think again Italian teams could do similar, is play players in their position. And Bro Wilfred could look at like what, again, learning from other managers, like what worked for Big Ange, as we call him, Big Ange, what worked for Brendan Rodgers for a certain time, what worked for Martin O'Neill, what did he do well, what did they do well, what didn't they do so well. Just keep being versatile enough to learn and keep learning rather than just playing one pig-headed way, even if it doesn't work. And unfortunately, I feel that he comes from the MLS, where apparently there's like so many teams that can win it. So it's not as competitive. You can afford to lose a few games, whereas with Celtic and the rankers, you can only really afford to lose one or two, or draw one or two even. We want to win almost all our games. I know it's not always that you can win all your games. I don't really care if we win friendlies, for instance, but in terms of winning domestic games, we want to win almost every game. You can afford to lose, and you can accept that you might lose one or two, especially if you've seen the manager, you know what he's doing. Even Big Ange lost a few, but you know, you can see the progression basically, and you can draw a few, and you can even lose a few, but you don't want to do that too many times. But yeah, I hope to see those changes, and I'll say a bit harsh, but I hope Hearts and the Rankers have enough injuries so their players both are just injured, just as many of them, just as many of them, and just enough to make their season much more difficult. So, like, if 5 or 6 of their players were injured enough to miss the next 3 or 4 games, or whatever, or in 5 or 10 games or whatever, a handful of games, obviously, then it would help us a lot, hopefully. But we just got to capitalise. We've got to win our own games as well. I think their games do affect us, but if we could just go out and do our thing, then it wouldn't really matter so much. But moving on, number 12, I hope Italian football and Celtic can learn from each other as well, practice together. But as I say, learning from what other teams have done, which is really not so good, and what is good, mistakes to avoid. Like, how did Brazil fall from grace? How were they not as good as they used to be? How have they slipped down the rankings and whatever, and not playing as well? How did Italian teams themselves go downhill? What mistakes that Italian teams have made? What mistakes that Celtic have made? What mistakes have even like Germany, Argentina, and others have made? One thing about Germany is they have good players in all positions. Like an Indian guy once said to me, a British Indian guy, he said that he loves the way Germany have good players in all positions and things like that. And I'd love to see Italy having the best possible goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and strikers being like made in Italy. # made in Italy, produced, set up and created in Italy, and that kind of thing. Creator labs and whatnot. Not literally, but I mean, Juventus talk about creator labs, so I think it'd be good to produce, create, make, or however you want to put it, the next best players in all possible positions. I'm not talking about AI or that kind of thing, but through training and giving opportunities for trial and error. But again, learning mistakes to avoid and learning things that could go well, learning from businesses how to attract investment and sponsorship for the national team, even for like football development opportunities to build more pitches and things like that, and also for the club teams, I would say, especially for the club teams, but even the national team could even benefit from sponsoring like travel. Like Alitalia could sponsor travel, or rather, they could sponsor the national team in terms of cheap or even free travel, and help to have more football pitches in parks, schools, and things like that. Footballing opportunities basically for young Italians, similar with Celtic. And also, I'd love for the board. Now, part of me was thinking to replace, I'm going to say point number 11 because I think we'll change, but I'm going to show it. But anyhow, part of me thinks like the board could be replaced by former footballers, and I was wary whether to type that up on the Facebook page and to called YouTube channel for the FIGC, the Italian FA, but I don't think they take too kindly to say like we want to replace you or whatever. But I'd hope to encourage the fans to say, yeah, we want to see them replaced. But maybe they could stay there. But I think they should work with former footballers, and they should be included, like people like Paolo Maldini, Albertini, Del Piero, Roberto Baggio, Dino Baggio, and so many former players from Italy could be included in the board. And maybe similar with Celtic, they could be included in the board and encouraged, in Celtic's case, and maybe in the Italian national team's case, actually, to fund football pitches and opportunities, academies, and that kind of thing for younger people in their name. So there could be the Roberto Baggio football academies, soccer academies, or whatnot for Italians all over Italy. Hopefully, you can fund those. Maybe there could be tax exemptions for doing that, and all sorts of things like that. But yeah, I'd love for former players from the Italian national team to be involved in the team, and also like former Sampdoria, Sassuolo, Salernitana, and Milan, and other Italian players to be involved. Like I'd love, for instance, for teams like AC Milan, also winning the AC Milan Cup, but to involve all their former players as like club brand ambassadors and things like that. But I'm going to talk more about Milan on Monday, so I'm going to move on anyway to point number 13. I do have my fears about whether things can improve for Italian football, the club teams and the national team, Antwerp or Celtic. And I know it's a selfish thing to want to see Italian teams do well. It's a sort of guilty, selfish pleasure of mine to see Italian teams do well for nostalgic purposes, because I supported them since I was young, because I think I look Italian. But yeah, I have my fears about whether things can improve, whether Italy will get to the World Cup, whether they'll ever get back to the top. And even if like my idea is formulated, would it be quick enough? Like by that time, will the Liga teams win so many more? They're already going further ahead of us, as Italian teams have taken a while to catch up. And even if like, one of my fears is even though if loads of investment comes in, it could take ages for it to formulate and translate into most simply to success on the pitch by buying those better players, investing in those academies and facilities and that kind of thing. Especially for the national team, where you can't just go and buy players or whatever. If it takes 10 years to develop a player from a young age, then it might take a while. But hopefully my fears will be unfounded in the longer term. But anyway, moving on, number 14, I hope they can solve problems. And I talk about working with FIFA and UEFA and other bodies, charities, NGOs, and organisations, especially football organisations, to form partnerships, which I hope will increase more funding for Italian football and Celtic, and increase their PR and just benefit Italian football and Celtic mainly as well. But, well, I say not just Italian football and Celtic, but mainly Italian football and Celtic. I suppose with all my football ideas, I hope they'll benefit Italian football and Celtic, but a lot I'd like to do for charity. Like I talked about my top dreams for football, about Italian teams winning at club and country level and Celtic winning more trophies and things like that, as many trophies as possible, including maybe even in Europe, and getting back to winning the league and hopefully doubles and trebles, or even a quadruple one season, like winning a Conference League or Europa League or even a Champions League and things like that. I'd love to see Celtic winning all those sorts of things, which is a bit of a dilemma because I kind of want to see Italian teams win those at the same time, so I'm stuck in two minds on that one. But also I'd love to do loads of charitable stuff with football. But yeah, on that note, I'd love to see Italian football have partnerships with, like, I say charities and NGOs, but also like other FAs like the Indian and Chinese, and other Asian FAs, and also ones across Africa, maybe even Latin America, building on like the diaspora links, like Latin links and things like that with Latin America. So hopefully going over there to practice, although I suppose it's not that easy to travel. But again, Alitalia could provide like either cheap or even free, better still, free or at least cheap travel to different parts of the world, so they can go and play tournaments and all that kind of thing. And number 15, on that note, on my bucket list is like things like going to travel to Italy with my fellow dyslexics and others, and also to work with Celtic, and travel with different groups and get different support to do so. Number 16, on that note, I'd love to promote my idea and find a way to express and explain my ideas, like 1, 2, or for 1, or share for share, line for line, and like for like. So I do struggle to explain it and get to the point, but and explain it in a way hopefully other people will understand. But things like if mosques or churches support me to travel and to share my ideas and to benefit Tamil and Celtic, I'd try and return the favour by sharing Qurans or Bibles, or if Hindu temples support me, or Hindu organisations or individuals even, I'd share Bhagavad Gitas or whatever it might be to sort of say thanks. Hence, 1, 2, or for 1 is about like they support me to write one piece of work, and I'll share a Bible, a Quran, or a Bhagavad Gita, or whatever it's called, or whatever, or even the Sikh text, or whatever it might be, depending on who helps me, in the fairest way possible. So each piece of work they help me to produce, each plan or whatever, each idea, I would try and share one religious text or information about business or whatever it might be in the fairest way possible. I even sit down with them and maybe edge out a fair deal and make deals with all possible businesses, religious groups, spiritual groups, organisations and whatnot. And it'd be interesting to see what we can achieve together, supporting each other. Number 17, it'd be hard to imagine, but as I say, I'd love to see Tampa will get back to the top at club and country level, and as I say, Celtic to win as many trophies as possible to ongoing success. And I hope that my ideas can help with that and be part of my legacy, my life purpose, my mission, or whatever you want to call it, that kind of thing. Sort of all connected, mission / purpose / legacy, or whatever, and that kind of thing. Using a dyslexic strength of imagination. I know I've been talking about dyslexic strengths and that kind of thing. Number 18, so yeah, hopefully I can promote and show what dyslexics can do for Tamil and Celtic, again, as I've been talking about, which is a part of the project. So as I say, it's killing two birds with one stone, often say. So it's like, it's what it shows, it hopefully will benefit Tamil, which I support, and Celtic, which I support, and show what dyslexics can accomplish. So a positive side of dyslexia, which supports dyslexic motivation, confidence, encouragement, positivity, and basically empowerment, which is another thing I support. So achieving all those all in one, like a rolling ball effect, I was going to say. It's like going bowling and you knock one and you get a strike, hopefully. Or a domino effect as well, or whatever. But moving on, number 19, again, I love to do a lot of charitable work with football, and I'd love for Africans to make video games, maybe even Aboriginals to make video games for Italian football teams, which I hope will benefit Italian football and benefit Aboriginals and Africans as well at the same time. Similar with Celtic, and also for Italian football and Celtic to fundraise for like African video game makers, Africans in STEM, and all sorts of things like that. And number 20, I would say also in STEM and empowerment, especially empowerment of the youth. At some point, I hope to talk about why I wish to support young people more than old people. I'm not sure when, maybe in January or February or March, maybe in March, but ASAP anyway, perhaps something like that anyway. I hope that all made sense, and I'm out, and peace and love.